Hello and good morning. It's time for our relationship segment right here on Wake Up Nigeria. This is a segment that's extremely important to couples to be, and it's one of those areas that we're going to touch on today that is very, very important to the average relationship. With us today, we have Nneka Jethro Irobe. She's a certified family life practitioner and relationship coach, and she teaches couples how to build stronger partnerships and create wealth through marriage. Wealth. It's not just about the money, it's about the wealth that you grow together. He also provides financial counseling for couples and co-authored How My Marriage Makes Me Money. It's a book that shares practical principles on leveraging patience, partnership, and unity to achieve prosperity. It's great to have you back here, Nneka.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay, so the Power Couple Playbook. Power couple, what that term power couple, it feels like social media has blown it out of proportion. What do you define as a power couple?
I think, like you said, social media has made it look like there's something that people come with that is fixed in them, right, in their DNA that makes them powerful. But I think it's the synergy, the coming together, the partnership that really does make people become a power couple, right? It's that ability to sit together and say, where are we going as a unit? Not as individuals alone, but as a unit. And then we are now working together towards that goal, right? And supporting each other's growth. That's what makes the difference.
So it's not just the glam, the nice photos, you know, the Christmas photograph, you know, they always show up in church in the same fabric. You know, that kind of, that's what we know to be power couple now. He opens the door for her and everything.
I mean, to each his own, right?
Okay.
What is important to you? If it's important to you to wear the same fabric to church, to events, that's okay, it's all good. If it's not important to you, what is important to you? The most important thing is that together we are working towards goals and visions over time, consistently. That's what unlocks your ability to bring power to bear. Yeah.
So what sort of goals are we talking about now? Let's talk about goals that work for an average Nigerian couple. Let's say a middle-class couple. What sort of goals should they be working towards?
I think one of the first things is talking about accommodation. You know, I was watching, I think it was Dave Ramsey yesterday, and he was saying something that one of the major expense items for every couple is accommodation. Where do you live? So I think that's one of the first goals that a couple can come together to see over the long term, where do we want to live? When do we want to own our own property? When do we want to be able to say, okay, this is ours for, and then what do we need to do starting from day one or from day to day, right? To work towards that goal. What sacrifices do we need to make? How do we need to pull resources together? The two of us, our eyes need to be on this one goal until we take the first major step in that direction.
So a first major step is maybe doing some research, right? Not exactly having the finance to get it yet. So from day one, a young couple just got married, they're still in the honeymoon stage, they're making all these plans, but then they also have to plan in, you know, the schools they'll pick for their children, whether they're going to leave the country or stay in the country, whether they're going to both work or one person is going to work, one person is going to... So, you know, there's a lot that happens in that beginning stage. It feels like a lot of pressure. How do you encourage couples to sort of get over that pressure stage?
I think it's first saying, what do I want for myself? What do we want? Because sometimes, funny enough, on Sunday, I was asking somebody that's going to get married. I said, what don't you have in the house? Right? I was asking, one person was saying, oh, they don't have this. And I said, this thing you are calling, you are saying it because you believe everybody has this thing in their house before they got married. Therefore, we should. Do you really need it? I give an example. I didn't get a deep freezer in my house till after my first child.
Wow.
And I was fine with a fridge and freezer. Sometimes we have that pressure locked in of, oh, before we move in, we must have this kind of settee, this kind of thing, this kind of thing. No, sometimes what practically do you need? As I talk about sacrifices, right, along the way. So I'd say, first of all, be clear what's important to you. Do you want to quickly get out of paying rent, as an example? What do we need to do? How many more shoes do we really need to buy? How many more clothes do we need to buy, right? It's the intentionality with that that then begins to help you accelerate quickly to get into that goal, or will create distractions along the journey and then limit your potential for speed because other things are taking the money out.
So now you're saying this like every man and woman that come together think logically.
No.
And I'm trying to use that term as a kind term. Not everybody has sense. not everybody has sense, especially at that beginning stage, especially if, for instance, maybe one party is bringing in most of the funds and the other party hasn't really started bringing in funds yet. The person with the higher income seems to sort of want more control over those decisions. So how do you work with dousing conflict? You know, because it does feel like talking about money is one of the major sources of conflict in relationships.
It definitely is. And not just in relationships. Between an employer and employees, money is an emotive subject, right? It stirs emotions. So yes, many times we're not rational when it comes to our decisions to spend.
Okay.
Usually we spend emotionally and then we justify with logic later on, right? Which is why we talk about individuality in the home, in a couple. We're not going to say, oh, because we're working towards this goal and the things that are important to us that are fancy, that tickle us, we will not address them. For example, somebody likes gadgets. We're not saying kill it completely. We're saying, can we have a controlled system to handle that?
But somebody he must have his PS5, you know now.
So somebody likes jewelry, somebody likes wigs. You know? We can say this is the budget for it. But when we have that clarity together, it's like when we say we want to get married, two of us know that this is the wedding, right? What's important for us in this wedding? We need to decide, right? So it's that clarity and unity first of all. It's a growth process. Like
it is a growth process, but then it might not be the spouse at that point that is able to enlighten or educate, especially if someone already has a certain level of ego that doesn't allow just the average person tell them what to do. I know of some couples that started out with just a mattress, but there must be a big screen TV. The biggest screen TV on the wall, and then they're on a mattress on the floor. You know, that big screen TV cost could have paid for a couch, could have paid for, you know, a fridge, could have paid for so many other things.
100%.
So, where do you draw the line? Because they always say, okay, during, you know, when couples are having their tiffs, don't bring in a third party. But at some point, it just feels like you're not connecting, you're not passing the message across, or maybe not the right way. So
I think that the question of not bringing a third party is something you need to be very careful about as a couple. There are times when you do need sound counsel. You need somebody else to wipe the lens and help you see differently. Because sometimes you are not hearing what your partner is saying. So there's the need for that. But the other side to it is the patience in engaging each other and saying we are not fighting each other. We're trying to decide where is this money going to give the most value to both of us, not just for today, but for tomorrow. Right? So there's that conversation that needs to happen. And sometimes it's also modeling, right? Hoping and praying that one of you is able to find a model of success. So if you see someone who's walked a particular road and excelled at it, it's easier to say, okay, this is what they do, which is why we wrote the book, so that people can say a model of partnership, working together to say, I sacrifice this, I sacrifice that. For now, we focus on this person's dreams, and then we move to the other person's dreams, and saying that over the long term, both of you will be better for it. So that modeling is so important for us as human beings in anything that we want to do. Modeling is very critical.
So do you think there are some templates that people can just copy and paste? Because, and I say templates because there's a way one member of this partnership has grown up and there's a way someone else has grown up. And this is completely adjusting a mindset. There are some families where the children never used to eat protein in the house, for instance, right? Yeah. But then, you know, a man come up and say, how will my children not eat chicken? And you as the woman are thinking, if we continue to eat chicken every single day, will we have enough to pay the rent? You know, there are those little things that really need to be addressed, especially from a cultural standpoint. How do you know that you're going in the right direction? If you're not copying somebody else's template, how do you know when you're going astray?
I think that we underestimate how much we have our answers on our inside, right? We're very externally focused as human beings, right? And that's for our safety to an extent. But many times our answers are inside, and every home is meant to follow a pattern that they've come together to create, right? When you're talking about meat, I grew up in a house where you could eat food without meat. No, my husband's house was not the same. So it took a while at the beginning to say, this is how this person grew up, which is why we talk about upbringing and the differences. So you don't dampen or criticize or minimize, you acknowledge. We've grown up differently. How do we then? Because again, I talk about goals. If two of us agree that this is where we are going, it's easier to say what sacrifice do we need to make. So instead of meat every day, can we skip a day? Because we know that extra 10K in the month will be used towards this. So we know, we agree It's when one person says, how do you always do that? That's wasteful. It's what I know. It's my reality. So we own it, acknowledge it, and then we can grow from there.
Honestly, Nneka, conversations like this, they're unending. We could keep going for ages, but thank you so much for sharing your insights. Power Couple Playbook. What is the first thing, what is the 10th thing on your list of priorities when it comes to becoming the power couple that you want to become? We're looking out for your thoughts on social media. Use the hashtag #WakeUpNigeria on TVC and tag us #WakeUpNigeria TVCE, and we'll be doing what we can to reply. All right, then let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this.